Good day, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Why You Do What You Do by the Building Industry Association's Bay Area Young Professionals. I'm your host, Mark Sherlock. Today's guest works with builders on commercial projects and single-family production homes, and was the recipient of the Home Aid Hope Award in 2009. Please welcome the General Manager for Integrated Resources Group, Russ Miller. Russ, great to have you on the show today. How you doing?
Great, Mark. Thanks for having me. This is a real honor to be with the other 20 speakers you had in this series. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I just let you know, you are the 20th interview that I've been able to do, and I can't wait to do some more.
Well, I'm terrified. The level of quality of the other speakers you've had have been, so wonderful. So hopefully we can have a good talk.
You'll do great. So Russ, I gave you a brief description of the format. We got 3 questions for you. Answer them however you like, but we'll get started. So Russ, how did you get to General Manager for Integrated Resources Group?
Gosh, it's been a long road. I've went back through all my jobs, and I think I've been working connected to this industry for about 36 years. I've had 11 jobs during that time, so that may mean I'm really good at some things, not so good at other things. I started off, graduated high school, went into the Navy. I was in the Seabees, Net Construction Battalion. Ended up, after getting out of there, was involved. I was warehouse manager of a cement warehouse where we imported white cement from Canada. Went to work at a sporting goods store, sold guns while I went to college to get my degree in marketing. I went to Hayward State. Now it's called East Bay. Ended up getting out of the sporting good industry and went to work for a company called Simon's Corporation. They made modular concrete forming systems as an outside sales rep. I did horrible at this job. After 1 year, that was it. So I was out of there. Ended up going to work for a company called GB International, and they were an Italian company. They were an importer of granite and marble slabs and dimensional stone. I went to interview for this company. I'd never seen stone like this. It was gorgeous. And so they kind of sunk the hook. I went to work there and did really well there. And after a year, I was hired away by one of my customers. And that customer was a company called Elite Tile Company. And now it's known as Elite Builder Services. And the owner at that time, Dennis Harani, took me under his wing. And I helped start a granite fabrication division for that company. And I learned a lot from him. He was a hell of a mentor. He was a guy who was a contractor, but he was a businessman contractor. He could set tile, but he was not really a tile setter. He was a contractor. And that inspired me to want to become a contractor too. And I ended up leaving him to go to work for one of our customers. And I got my own C54 tile contractor's license. And Dennis was gracious enough to sign off on my experience for that. That helped get me started. And that company was called Contemporary Floors. And unlike Elite Tile that did custom homes and some commercial work and then housing tract work at the time, this gentleman did tenant improvement and commercial projects. And so I went to work for him. I ended up bidding a large hotel down in Bakersfield, and I got in through a designer at that time, was in the market named Barbara Elliott, and ended up estimating and bidding and then selling this project that I ended up having to move onto the project and live there for 6 months down in Bakersfield. So as you can tell, I don't know if that was a great thing or not, but I learned a lot about being a project manager on this project. I ended up setting a lot of tile, dealing with a lot of hardship during this project. We were awarded another hotel down in Sand City, down near Monterey. I ended up selling, estimating, and running that project too. And it was very difficult. I had a tiger by the tail. I learned a lot. It was very stressful. And I ended up going to work for one of my vendors who we bought marble from. Is a company called Alpha Granite and Marble. And that's turned out to be a great job. I was hired as an outside sales rep, and I started there. The owner's name is Kevin Murphy. Another great mentor. Super lucky to have this guy in my life. I think he saw something in me and supported me. Ended up going from outside sales rep to branch manager to sales manager. then to director of sales. And we grew the company from a 1-branch operation to a 4-branch operation. And then we were purchased by Deltile in 2004. And at that time, I didn't want to work for a large corporation. They're huge, really good company, just not my bag. I ended up going to work for one of our biggest customers, a company called Design Select. And at the time, it was run by a guy named Clark White. And that was a contract flooring company that would contract with the large production home builders to do their design center and the tile and slab and carpet and stuff like that. And ended up helping him start a new division in Sacramento as general manager, and was there for almost 2 years. Ended up going to work from there to become president of Phillips Tile Company up in Napa. The original owners of that company had been customers of mine when I was with Alpha Granite and Marble, and they found out I was available, and they were in the process of selling their company. So they made me part of the deal with the new owners of the company. They sold me too. And so I ended up becoming president, CEO of Phillips Tile Company, working with my new partners. I was there for 4 years, and we're a tile company and granite and marble slab fabrication shop, primarily doing builder for the production home builders. And that was a great job. I love that. Learned a lot. A lot of my partners were Ivy League, very smart. I learned a lot from them, but maybe not enough, because after working there 4 years, I ended up going to work for another company, tile importer, and they're known as Import Tile Company. And they were purchased. They're now owned by All Natural Stone. And I was general manager there for about 2 years. And in that company, I was out of the production home building industry, selling to small contractors in the Bay Area. Then ended up getting back in, working for California Custom Carpets in Dublin as their sales operation manager, another contract flooring company, kind of like Design Select. Worked for them for a couple of years, ended up going to work for Cambria, which was a manufacturer of quartz countertops, was there for almost 3 years, and ended up here at Integrated Resources Group, working for a great guy named Dilmohan Chada, and I've known him for at least 30 years. And during this time, I've either been his customer or I've been his competitor, one way or another the whole time. And my title here, our company, we don't really have titles. And you introduced me as general manager, and that is one of my functions. But this company runs really well. It doesn't need a lot of management. A lot of the time I spend selling to production home builders. I also work on custom mansions, essentially mansions, and commercial projects too. And so that's pretty much what I do.
Well, very nice, Russ. I really appreciate the thoroughness, and I'm sure your I'm sure your guy is happy to have you on his team this time around.
I feel really lucky and happy to be here, kind of towards the end of my career, to end up working for a company that I can fit in with, and it's a great place, and I hope to retire out here.
Fantastic. So, Russ, second question for you: what was the most inspirational moment that has shaped your career path?
I have three, not just one. I have three. Okay, and taking a clue from Don Ruthroff, my father is probably one of my greatest inspirations as far as what I do for a living. He was a cement salesman, and he was a great salesman, loved his clients, loved his customers, loved his product. He loved the construction industry. His best friend was an insurance salesman named Ted Lowe's. Another great they're both old school salesmen that really took care of their customers, but they also really knew their products. And from these two guys, I learned my patented line of BS that I use every day, and I've used for the last 36 years. And then second inspiration was not in business. It was when I was in the Navy. I was, towards the end of my Navy deal, I was in the Seabees, and I was company clerk for our company commander. His name was Commander Furukawa. And we were at 29 Palms Marine Base, and we had a bunch of construction equipment that we had left out in the desert. It was like 20, 30 miles out in the desert, and we needed to get it back to base. And there was this big rainstorm, and as company clerk, I was driving him in his Jeep out through the desert. We had a truckload of guys behind us, And we get to all the construction equipment, and it's still pouring rain. It's like a monsoon. It's horrible. And each one of those vehicles had a windshield and a roof on it, except for one. And it was a big dump truck that had no windshield and no roof. And our commander got in the dump truck with no windshield, no roof, and led us back, while everybody else rode in vehicles, including me in the Jeep, with a vehicle that had shelter. And so I picked up on it pretty early. Hey, this guy is a really good leader. You know, it's something very simple. We weren't in combat at all. We were a bunch of reservists out in the desert in the rain. But this guy, at his rank, could have ridden in any vehicle, but he took the one with the least comfortable position to bring us back. And I remember looking, actually, I was leading the way in the Jeep, looking in the rearview mirror and seeing him with his round glasses, his face all wet, you know, and wind blowing. It was crazy. And so that inspired me. And so whenever I was in a position of leadership in the construction industry and as an importer, I think of things like that, where I want to try to make myself less comfortable, you know, when I can, and never ask anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to do. And then the third one was while I was working at Alpha Granite and Marble, and this is a little intense. We're an importer of natural stone, and we move big granite slabs. And I was at our Santa Clara branch one day, and I was in on the telephone. We're actually interviewing a new employee, and 2 bundles of granite slabs fell on 2 of our employees. And these bundles weigh about 6,000 pounds. And so by the time I got out there, essentially these guys were being crushed by 12,000 pounds, leaning against, they were pinned against another bundle of granite. And Jerry Gilligan, my friend, and who actually works with me now at IRG, he was the branch manager of that branch, and he's on a forklift with a boom trying to push these slabs off these guys. Wheels were spinning, nothing was happening. He's trying. His warehouse manager comes up on another forklift right at another angle next to him, and he puts pressure on. His wheels are spinning. Eventually they grabbed, and it lifted these bundles off enough so the guys could fall down, and we dragged them out. And then as a group, we were able to give first aid and stabilize them till the fire department came. And the reason this inspires me, everybody involved, including me too, in a minor way, we were all really scared. We had no choice. These guys would have died, and they're in the process of that happening, if people weren't brave and just did what you had to do. And our whole team, so you had a branch manager, you had a warehouse manager, you had a couple warehousemen, you had me, a director, our human resources manager, Ruth Jones Marley, was right there across from me. We were all there helping, and we were able to help our coworkers. And so I get emotional just thinking about it. So essentially in business, so that happened 20 years ago. It doesn't matter what happens in business. It's just money, right? It's just money. But when you have people's lives on the line, it's really serious. And so essentially, since then, it gives me a sense of calmness when we're in really trouble, if we're in some kind of financial difficulty or more typically operational difficulty. So it just puts things in perspective a little bit. So that still inspires me to this day. Think about that all the time.
A great insight, Russ, and I really appreciate you sharing that story. I thank you for your service, and even I'm sure the families thank you very much for helping out your coworkers and helping out your team, because that's what life's all about. So I appreciate you sharing that, Russ. So Russ, third and final question, the theme behind the whole show. Why do you do what you do?
Oh man, well, that one's easy. And I've listened to all the other people talking. In my specific case is the people. The people connected with the construction industry. One, they're a bunch of characters. Okay, that's my favorite part. But 2, they're some of the smartest, most creative people. I've been involved with PWB this last number of years. That group of women are brilliant. So some of the smartest, hardest working, serious people. Construction industry, we're doing good things. We're building shelter for people. We're doing something constructive. It's a great industry to be in. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I hope to retire someday out of this industry. And people like you know, all the young professional people, they're brilliant. The future is in good shape for our industry as far as that's concerned. Just lots of really sharp people. Good people.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Russ, for taking the time today to share your story. It was an absolute honor to hear it, and I cannot wait to share it with the rest of the young professionals and everybody else out there. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mark. It's an honor to be interviewed. Thank you.
All right, Russ. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
And that concludes our 20th episode. I'm your host, Mark Sherlock, and always remember, why you do what you do.